Joining us on the program, the General Secretary of the Ijaw Youth Council, Mr. Mabuye Obu, joins us virtually on the program. You're welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning.
Well, you're welcome to the program. We're just
Hello?
having, yes, sure, we can hear you. We're just having conversations around, subnationals, the governance of it, and naturally, the Rivers situation just came up. Right, and Rivers has been in the news not for the best reasons over the past 3 years. The latest now is the impeachment proceedings that, began, targeted at the governor, of course, and what he said about it. I know that the Ijaw Youth Council has said one or two things, or even more, about it, but it looked like some of the lawmakers were soft-pedaling on this whole process, coming out one after the other. Not a lot, though, but I wonder if it looks like this is easing off for you from where you sit, or you're still prepping for the worst case scenario.
Oh, okay, so my dear brother, basically, I think I've always been at the forefront supporting the governor. I didn't support the governor because it's Ijaw, but because I saw darkness and light, and I feel I should be on the path of righteousness. However, a lot of constitutional provisions have been quoted, during this impasse or this conundrum, where Section 188, subsections 1 to 11, give you reasons on how one can impeach a governor and a deputy, but particularly subsections 11, Part B of that subsections 11. I wouldn't say the Constitution erred, but gave the Constitution unilaterally gave powers to the House of Assembly to define what they see as gross misconduct. So to my mind, I know that the House of Assembly on this, even if I call them the renegade assembly, they've not erred in any way, wanting to impeach somebody, because they have the duty to perform oversight. However, it behoves the governor, or on the governor in particular, to first of all, that window of negotiation where the first phase, when they called for the impeachment, when the leader of the House, read out whatever riot act or whatever to call for impeachment, the governor that time, would have approached whomever he likes to approach. But there's a problem in Rivers State. The person causing the issues in Rivers State is no other person than the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has two playbooks he's using. He's given a different KPI to the FCT minister and deceiving the governor. Now, I'll tell you why. Sometime in March, the president erred and invoked whatever constitution gave him the powers to invoke state of emergency. But I call that an interloper government that suckled Rivers State dry. And now the governor was made to believe that the president told the governor that the state of emergency was in his favor, and the governor is believing that dumb story. Now, if the governor also moved to the APC and told Nigerians that he went to the APC because he wanted protection, it's a shame currently that his new party members are the ones that want his head on a platter. They are the same set of people that are calling for his impeachment. Now, what the governor did when the first motion was moved for his impeachment or service was done, he ran to the president. That was the time the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, would have called the person under his employ, who is his FCT minister, to call his renegade assembly to order. But the president didn't do that. Do you know what the president is trying to do? The president wants the governors on his knees at the point when the chief judge would have even set up a committee of 7. Let me also say this to you. Who appointed the chief judge? The chief judge was appointed by the former governor, the FCT minister. So the governor did not appoint the chief judge. I am not saying the chief judge is corrupt or he would not support the governor, but who appointed the chief judge? So at the point, for me, it's rather coming too late for the governor to react, because if you don't want to fight, then start the fight. And I will not allow or suggest or even do anything to tell Ijaw youth to take to the streets, just like we took to the streets, because people will die. A lot of my brothers, have gunshot injuries. Nobody is caring about them. And Rivers State have a playbook that they always bring in, the playbook of 2002, 2003, where they'll start kidnapping people, killing people, assassinating people. We're entering that era already. So for me, it's to de-escalate. And de-escalating for me was that the The governor, I'm sorry, if he's trying to fight now, is rather fighting too late. Because you would have fought. If you don't want to fight, don't start a fight. If there was any arrangement between you and Wike, you would have stood by it. And if you know that arrangement was not good enough, you wouldn't have gone into such an arrangement. I am not supporting the FCT minister. My records are there and clear. I've always been at the forefront fighting against this injustice. So I am not supporting the FCT minister, but I will not sit idly by to see the governor not do nothing and tell people not to say anything, and only to go on social media. You arm people with documents. There's no spokesperson for the governor. Nobody is given. There's no direct link to where you would say this is an official story coming from the state government. For me, this is not the way to run the state. And where there's paucity of information on the side of the governor. So how do we fight for him? You want us to go and fight and abuse Wike? Wike traveled for 17 days, and he was consistent with one song: agreement is agreement. The governor is not coming to debunk that agreement story, to say there was an agreement or there's no agreement, or if there was, this is the agreement. Now, if there is any agreement whatsoever, the governor went into meetings all by himself with nobody, in that meeting with him. But Wike always goes for a meeting with his 27 assembly members, his so-called Rivers elders, and some other persons, and all the National Assembly members that work with him. So who is fooling who? The governor needs to help himself and help us, those of us who are genuinely supporting him. But for me, on this, I don't think we should now begin to take to the streets. I do not think the assembly has erred. I do not think that the governor had done right, because it wouldn't have gotten to this stage. So what the president of Nigeria is doing is to give Wike and the governor two different KPI to work on, just to making sure that he harvests the votes from the governor and as well retain the votes that he thinks he will get from the FCT minister. All is just for his re-election of 2027. And I don't think the governor, at the end of the day, you are the governor of the state. So if anything happens, now governance in the state is stalled as we speak. Things are not working because they've diverted your attention to certain things that you ought not to do. And you go about telling people that it's love letter, then on the other hand, you're trying to make peace. This is not the way to go. So for me, I think that is what Ijaw people should be looking at. So we shouldn't just see it from the ethnic lines. I am the Secretary General of Ijaw Youth Council, and for me to speak this way, I must tell you that we need to de-escalate.
Speaking of de-escalation, one would have thought that after the lifting of the state of emergency in Rivers, that peace would then return. Even after these impeachment proceedings, we saw 4 lawmakers at 2 different times, 2 of them at different times, prevailing on their colleagues to, rescind their decision and toe the path of a political solution to the Rivers political crisis. But we've also seen them now rescind that decision yet again and speak in one voice, saying that the governor has turned down the olive branch that was extended to him and is, in fact, the one that is now, towing the path of aggression against the state assembly lawmakers. What exactly is playing out? What is responsible for this round of dispute between both parties, the Wike group and the Fubara group? Is it just the fact that they do not want the governor to return for a second term, or those items on the agreement from before 2023 have not been honored by the governor?
Okay, so if I need to prefer solution to this, I'll tell you first of all, Tinubu is playing out. So you ask what is really playing out. Tinubu is playing out in Rivers State. Tinubu is interested in Rivers State. Tinubu has suckled us dry in Rivers State, and Rivers people should come all out and resist Tinubu. Tinubu is a problem of Rivers State because he wants, by all means necessary, all by him, to make sure he comes back in 2027. Nobody is right if this party has given him the stuff. Now, what is going on was the governor was deceived. I told you in my opening statement, he was deceived, and the governor is still going with that deceit that the state of emergency was in his favor. And now the governor was also deceived, and Rivers people were deceived, and some of us that follows the governor, not me, were also deceived by the first 2 people that came out to say, oh, they are begging their colleagues. Then another 2 people will come on social media and they will tell you 2 down, 4 down, and all of that. And at the end of the day, it was just to stall the process, to make sure that that window you have to negotiate, that would have been the time, if Tinubu is for you, that would have been the time Tinubu would have called the FCT minister to call these guys to order. But the Tinubu refused because Tinubu wants the governor on his knees to tell him that I have saved you twice. And that is what the governor is playing into. So the governor is the one causing all of these issues for me, because I cannot be state governor. Let's say this. I cannot be governor of Rivers State, and I would have my assembly members doing this to me. There are processes, there are ways. If we don't do it this way, we'll do it the other way. Violence is not the exclusive preserve of anybody. So nobody should come out and sing the war songs that you want to do this or that. I always say this. We knew what happened on the 29th and 30th of October 2023. And I don't want that to happen anymore. A lot of us did not sleep. We were in the streets. We were trying to resist. We were pushing and making sure we support. Is that what you want? Now, let me also ask you, this is an indictment on the governor. Has the governor ever called Ijaw people to come out and speak to Ijaw people or even have a meeting with Ijaw people, Ijaw community? But he has had meetings with Ogbakwe Ikwere. So why is the governor even hiding? This is not about Ijaw, for example. I don't see it like it's Ijaw war against anybody. Let me tell you, the governor didn't come to become governor because Ijaw people came out to support him to be governor. Wike chose somebody he felt would be a stooge to him, against Ijaw people's will. Because if you want Ijaw people to support somebody, ask Ijaw people, they will produce somebody for you. The governor is called Ijaw, we know that. But are we going to throw the baby and the bathwater? No. Do I want the governor to be impeached? No. And I always say this, and I'll say it again and again, please. Martin Samewule wants to become governor of Rivers State through the back door for at least 3 months. Why impeach the governor and the deputy? But let me also tell you, I saw a video, I wouldn't mention the person's name, where somebody from another tribe whatsoever trying to, wash Ijaw people, and a lot of Ijaw elites are happy that somebody, and Ogoni's son, is talking about this, oh, Ijaw people should do this, Ijaw nation, and no. That sentiment shouldn't go. Let me tell you why. If, for example, the Professor Umma Odu, the deputy governor is not impeached and the governor is impeached, is Umma Odu an Ijaw woman? No. So Ijaw people, we have not had any leadership since our contemporary democracy in Rivers State since 1999. There's no sane leadership for, that you say Ijaw people have benefited from. So what is playing out currently in Rivers State, Tinubu is playing out. And the governor, and the FCT minister have made Rivers State their gladiators ring. And for me, I would say this, bull runs should be made in designated places. Rivers State should not be the designation for this type of bull run, because matadors fight bull runs not in marketplace, but in designated places. Rivers State should not, when elephants fight, this is the grass that suffers. We are suffering. So I do not think, and I will maintain that this is not about Ijaw, it's not about Ikwere, because we know what is going on. I don't care about what those assembly, members, their show of shame. But they have just given 8 points that this is what they see as gross misconduct. Well, the governor should follow it head on. Some people are saying because the governor refused to play with them about supplementary budget and all of that. Right. Did they write anything? In law, they said anything not written is not included. Well, let's face the 8-point agenda these young men have come up with and face
very
it.
Strong insights coming from you. Very, very strong insights coming from you on the situation. We have to anchor now, but clearly not the end of the conversation. But if there's one thing you've reiterated time and again, you believe that the president is at the heart of it. We have to thank you so much, General Secretary, Ijaw Youth Council, Mr. Mabuyobu, for these insights. We'll clearly be speaking with you in the coming days. So thank you and wish you the very best.
God bless you. Thank you.